So today we'll take a look at what happened in the markets, if there were any good trade setups that showed up, and how we can trade these next time around. So hopefully you guys can see me now. Just type in yes if you can. That will be wonderful. So let's take a look at some of the things that we need to cover today. The purpose of the daily review is basically look at the day and take a look at what happened during the day and what lessons we can learn from what happened and how we can apply these lessons going forward. So the first question I like to ask myself when doing a daily review is, how did the markets behave today? So let's go to our calendar here to see what happened in the markets. First thing was we saw our current account for British pound, which is trade balance numbers, came in positive. However, British pound didn't really move up that much. And we also saw Canadian GDP numbers came out negative. And this was an interesting one that I want to touch on. So if you take a look at our dollar CAD today, when these numbers came out, the GDP numbers came out negative, we saw that price pushed up quite fast. Here, there was a really quick push up. This is a 5-minute chart, so each candle is 5 minutes here. We saw that price pushed up quite rapidly, and then it fell just as rapidly as well. So this is the problem with trading the news. We can see very much of a knee-jerk reaction to news, and then the price will turn around and go in the opposite direction, as we can see here. So whichever way you try to trade this, it becomes a little bit challenging. So I try to stay away from the news. Once the news has come up, I will take a look at what the market is doing and then take a trade if I want to, but generally I don't try to throw myself in the, in front of the bus, so to speak. So keep that in mind if you like to trade the news. If you're a swing trader, then, there will be a lot of times where you will be in a trade while the news is out. So you just want to make sure your stops are in proper places so that you can accommodate these type of moves. So that was that. And then going back to our calendar here, we did have some US data come out in the New York session. The London session today was very choppy. Not much happened till we got into the New York session. And that's when prices started to move after the data came out. And we saw prices move. So now going into tomorrow here, we have bank holiday. It's Easter weekend, long weekend. So a lot of traders will take the time off. So Asian markets, Australia, New Zealand, they are closed. And also tomorrow we have US, Canada, Europe, London. So those markets are closed tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. When we have holiday conditions with Forex, the markets are open at all times. So you could still be trading. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that we have low liquidity conditions. So a lot of times when the moves happen, I will show you an example, we could get quite erratic moves. So let's take a look at this one here. So if you take a look at the 5-minute chart, we have this quick, very, very sudden drop and price pulls back all the way. So generally, this happens during low liquidity conditions. Normally, if a large order comes in, that's when, or news comes in, that's when we see this type of move. But when we have low liquidity conditions, even a reasonable size order comes in, it can push the prices around as we saw here, and then very rapidly the price will go up. So just be mindful of those type of price behaviors when you're trading in low liquidity conditions, which will be around holidays. Christmas time is like that as well. And then we see that usually in August as well, when a lot of traders are away on holidays. We get this type of a price behavior where price tends to move quite rapidly, and then it will just have this knee-jerk reaction and start to pull back as well. So just keep that in mind. So going back to our daily review, market review here, what setups were present and how did they play out? So this is one of the things that I really like to do. Again, this is one of those things where it's not necessary to do, but it is important to do because this is how we learn. So we talked about that yesterday about hacking how to learn more. So now let's take a look at what trade setups, what good trade setups were present and how we could have traded them. One of the things that I really liked was this trade setup here. So we had a double top right here, and then we had a bearish candle close. So this was the trade that I did take yesterday. I think I mentioned that on the live stream. I was in that trade. So we saw price put a lower high. We had a double top, a lower high, bearish engulfing candle. So this was a good place to take the trade. So, and then I was looking for price to come into the bottom here, into the bottom of the range. So as we can see from our daily chart, price has been trading in this range for some time. And I was looking for price to come towards the bottom of the range. So this one played out quite nicely, and the profit target was hit. So now, another trade setup that is present here right now, that actually the trade that I'm in at the moment is this one here. So we see a drop, a pullback into the pivot, and then I'm looking for a further drop into S1 level. So this is why I like using pivot points, because it helps us predict some of these moves. So in the account here, I do have a trade on at the moment. So if you go into, so I have a euro yen, a pound yen trade. So this is the entry and price drop. So I'm looking for price to go into 148.65-ish level here, which is right into just above this S1 level. So this is another trade setup that tends to, or another setup that tends to play out quite nicely. So we've had a drop, looking for it to drop further. But that will be another one for tomorrow. So this is more of a pivot point trade. But yesterday, this was double top was the one that was present. And next time we see this type of a price behavior, where price tries to break out, pulls back, and then makes a lower high and gives us a nice bearish engulfing candle close, that's a good time to take that trade, because we're likely to see the price drop as it dropped in this case. Another one that was present here, let's take a look at British pound here. So pound US dollar, this was another one that was present. This is called backtest of the level trade. So in this type of a trade setup, we have a support resistance level right here. As we can see, price tested this level 3 times, and every time price pushed off when it came into this. And finally, we saw a break of this level. So a lot of times people will take this breakout trade. I don't like to do that. I like the price to go and test this, and on a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart, we see the price will drop below this level, stay below this, hold below this level, and that's when I like to take a trade. But this is a good way to look at the trade. So this is called the back test of the level trade, and I'll mark up the chart and put it in there. But this is what we're looking for. We're looking for price to break through a support resistance level, and then do a test of the same level, but from the opposite direction. And in this case, we saw a drop, a pullback into the same level. So the support acts as resistance, and we are looking for price to drop. And as we can see, price dropped. So this was also another good trade here. Third trade that we could take a look at, and Euro Aussie was also a good trade here. This was not a trade that I took, but I did like this trade setup. So next time it shows up, we want to take it. Well, in fact, actually, I'm taking that today, right now, with the pound yen trade that I'm in. But this one is a pivot point trade setup. So what we see here is price has dropped. So we see price has dropped. So we have a down move here. Price dropped. With the pivot points, what we're looking for is price to pull back into the pivot point, and we want to see a close below the pivot point. So after we see this bearish candle close, this was a good sign to go short. So we could have gone short here, and our stop could have been above this high here, and we're looking for price to drop. As we can see, price dropped into S1. So after the pivot, we're looking for price to go into S1. And as we can see, this is exactly where the price went. So this was a good trade setup as well. Again, I didn't take it, but this is definitely something that I do look for and I want to look for. So that's another great trade setup. So those are the 3 different setups that I have looked at today. I will mark up the charts and I will put them in the Facebook group as well. All right, so on to the next question. So were there trade setups that have worked really well? We had a look at that. What do I expect the market? How do I expect the market to behave tomorrow? Right now we are into the holiday, so I do expect low liquidity conditions. And also this here, we are at end of March, so month end, and we are also at end of quarter. So what this means is that a lot of big portfolio managers, large institutions, hedge funds, and so forth, they tend to rebalance their portfolios at quarter end or month end. And this is the time that they do this. And how does that impact us? The way it would impact us is that we may see some moves go in the opposite direction of what we may be expecting, because the flows may be because of readjustment of portfolios as opposed to real fundamental or technical reasons. So just keep that in mind. And going into the holiday, I would expect low liquidity conditions, which means that price could just do one of these, quick drop, and then it fills in this inefficient move, and then it could go whichever way it wants to. So this type of price behavior tends to happen during the low liquidity conditions, and also the spreads tend to be larger as well. So this is almost like trading on a Sunday when there aren't too many traders around, so our spreads are larger, as well as we see moves like this, that the prices moves all of a sudden. So I would keep that in mind if you're trading tomorrow. Did I follow my trade plan? I did follow my trade plan. I was in a pound dollar trade that we looked at here, but I got nicked here. My stop could have been a little larger than it was. It just literally took me out with a pip. So that's something that I need to look at the next time. My stop should have been on the other side of this, not over here. So I think it was either here or here. I'll have to go back and check, but it just got nicked, and then it just dropped. So that's something I need to look at, the placement of stops. So make adjustments to that. And that is it. So that's all. I will not be trading I won't be trading tomorrow. I do have a couple of trades on here, pound yen and euro yen at the moment. So I'm just waiting for those to play out. This one, as we can see, price dropped, but then it pulled up fairly quickly here. So I need to now wait for it to drop once again. I was not paying attention when this happened, so I didn't really get a chance to, it did not hit my profit target yet. So I didn't really get a chance to do anything with it. So now I just have to sit through it. So those are the two trades that I'm monitoring at the moment, but I don't plan to trade tomorrow because the market liquidity will be really low. And also it's a good time to just spend some time with family. So that's it. I won't be doing a Facebook Live tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday. So in the meantime, if there are things that you may have questions about, please feel free to post them in the Facebook group, and I will try to address them as we go forward. So that's it for now. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday then for next week. Bye for now.